Segments from Life in the Arts can now be viewed on demand on YouTube.com. Just go to YouTube.com, add /Longtimers, and that will take you to our YouTube channel. Welcome to another edition of Life in the Arts Classic Light. Life in the Arts is a program that your entire family can participate in and enjoy. On today's program, the art of paper airplane folding. Life in the Arts welcomes back Stan Sorokin, the Swami of Aero-gami. Get out a piece of paper and fold and fly with us. Also, our virtual field trip segment takes us to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where we'll meet the chief of the graphics design department, Jim Ailes, who will walk us through some of the steps in creating design. Life in the Arts begins now.
Hi, I'm Stan Sorokin, sometimes known as the Swami of Aero-gami. Aero-gami is a word that I invented that has to do with paper airplane folding. And today I'm going to show you hopefully how to make a low-tech and a high-tech paper airplane. The word aero-gami comes from the Japanese art of origami, which is the art of paper folding. And my paper airplane folding and origami are very, very closely related, though they're not the same thing. To begin our little lesson here, let me say that the most important thing that you want to do when you're folding paper airplanes, if you want them to fly really well, is fold as exactly as you can. You want to always fold what I call edge to edge and corner to corner. And what I mean by that is when we fold a sheet in half, we actually go to the corners and make sure the corners match and the edges all match. The first plane that we're going to do is a low-tech paper airplane that everybody, at least my age, knows how to do. And this consists of 4 folds. And it's really 8 folds, but there's a reciprocal fold to each fold that we do. So if you'll lay the sheet down with the image down on the table and fold the sheet lengthwise in half and go corner to corner and edge to edge right in half, that's your first fold. It folds right down the center line, the one line. Then, with the numbers down, you make your second fold, both surfaces, like so. And then you turn them both inside with the image outside. And then refold the plane. And it should look like this. Then you make your third fold like so, and then both flaps go inside, both folds go inside. And then you refold the plane so that it looks like this. Then you make a fold that goes right to the front point of the plane, right down the bottom edge, like so. And then you make the reciprocal fold on the other side that goes exactly down the edge and goes edge to edge, corner to corner, this way. And here you have a finished plane. And this plane will not fly in the configuration that it is now. What we have to do is give it a little bit of a tweaking. So we put the corners of the wings up like so, and this plane should fly. Can we try this? We'll see if it'll fly. Perfect. Okay. Now we're going to do a high-tech paper airplane. And this is very, very complicated. This has many, many folds in it. And it's very, very important to be as exacting as you can. The first fold that you make is not as important as the reciprocal fold or the second fold that matches that fold. So the first thing we're going to do is put the plane down, or the matrix down, with the image down, so that you have the blank image facing you. Then you'll fold the short way on the one line, which is this line that's marked 1, and you fold that all the way down, making sure that you have the corners and the edges perfectly matched, perfectly together. Then you'll turn the plane over with the numbers down, and you will fold on the 2 line so that it looks like this. Then you'll make a reciprocal on the other side on the 2 so that it now looks like this. Then you will, with the numbers on the top but facing down, you'll lift a flap and go to number 3 and fold exactly down the 3 line, which is like so. And then we make the reciprocal, fold, corner to corner and edge to edge, like so. And this is what the plane looks like in this stage of development. The next thing we do is we find the numbers again, and with the numbers facing down, we fold the flap up so we can see the number 4, and we fold along the 4 line, making sure that this fold is down the bottom edge of the plane. And then we turn it over and we make the reciprocal, so that at this stage your plane wants to look like this. Then our next fold is on the 5 line, and it folds like so. Again, with the fold edge on the bottom exactly matching and going right into the corner. Then we make the reciprocal fold, and your plane should look like this. Does it look like this? Okay. Now we're going to make a wing. And what we need to do here is make sure that the numbers are on the top facing down, and the front of the plane, which is this cockpit, wants to be on the left, on your left hand. And you fold the wing up until you come to the line that is the number 6 line. And the plane at this point should look like this. If it doesn't look like this at this stage, it may not fly. But if it looks like this, it's going to fly. So the next thing you do is make the reciprocal on the wing, And then the plane should look like this. Now the next thing we're going to do is make the tail. And you need to turn the plane upside down, and you need to tear along the dotted line that you can see from the top of the plane. But you have to kind of look through the paper to see it from the bottom. But you tear all surfaces all the way down, and then you pull up on the tail, and you have a tail for the plane. Then to shape the tail, what we do is fold along the 8 line, and we make a fold like so. And then we reinforce that fold by going the other way on the fold. And then we put the fold inside, which is going to look like this, and you have the shape of the tail. The second thing we do is reinforce the fuselage fold that is part of the tail by folding it the opposite way, so that we have some shape in the wings and the tail. Now what we're going to do is work on the front of the plane, and we're going to make the cockpit, which is where the pilot does his work. What we're going to do is fold on the dotted line, or the dashed line. We're going to make a crease there, and then we're going to make a crease on the other 2 dashed lines, so that when we fold them inside, like so, they're pre-creased and they'll fold easily. And we want to fold them like an accordion. The first fold is down, the second fold is up, and the third fold is down. And at this stage, your plane wants to look like this. Now we get a little bit of complicated stuff here. We're going to secure the front end of the plane by making a little tab, folding over one of the corners of the front. And then we're going to fold the other corner over. And what we're doing here is making a tab. And that tab then gets bent and folded into the front of the plane. And it does a couple of things. It keeps a weight ratio, and it also keeps the plane together in front. So it helps a little bit in the way the plane flies, because it adds some weight to the plane. And then the last step is locking in the tail. And the way we do that is we're going to make a fold on both surfaces on the bottom of the plane, as you see here. We're going to make a slit, and the way I do that is I reverse fold and then tear a slit on this side, and then I make a tab on the other side by just tearing on the crease that I made. And then this tab actually goes into the slit like so, and it gets opened up inside and makes a paper lock, so that the bottom of the plane now is locked. And then we're ready to fly our little plane. And that flew perfectly. Now, I realize that I probably went a little too fast for some of you, and to ameliorate that problem, I'm going to try to make the low-tech plane in a little slower mode here. So, and we're going to start with a plain sheet of paper that isn't marked, just to show you how easy this is to fold. The first thing that we're going to do is fold this in half lengthwise, corner to corner and edge to edge, and make sure that we have a nice crease. The second thing we're going to do is on the open side of this, we're going to take both surfaces, we're going to fold them from the corner, exactly the corner and exactly down this edge, so that it's a perfect fold. Then we're going to put both of these flaps inside, fold them so that the plane looks like this at this stage. Then we close the plane, and again we take both surfaces, we go into the corner, we make a nice crease, and now our plane wants to look like this. Then we open it up again and fold both surfaces, or both folds, inside, so that this is how the plane should look at this stage. Now again we fold it, we reinforce the folds, and we make two more folds, the first fold being into the corner and across the bottom, exactly across the bottom surface of the plane, so that it wants to look like this. And then we do the reciprocal fold, and we match the other side to the side that we just folded. And now your plane is going to look like this. Now, to shape the plane so that it flies, we want to lift the wings so that they are perfectly at a 90-degree angle with the fuselage, with the body. And they want to be as straight as possible. And then we want to curl up the corners of the wingtips at the end just enough so that it won't climb too much, or it won't dive. And this takes a little bit of playing around with. We call it tweaking. And this should fly perfectly in that. Oh, coming back to me. There we go. Let's see if it'll fly. Now, I want to thank you for your patience with my paper airplane making.
Hi, I'm Jim Ailes. I'm the art director at the Monterey Bay Aquarium. My role here is to help create the brand identity, especially on the visual side of all of our programs. Splash Zone has been in development phase for approximately 5 to 6 years. And it starts with the research and development department, and from there it goes into the exhibit design department. After it goes through the exhibit department, the exhibit department comes to the graphics department, and we're responsible for putting together the visual marketing materials and the initial logos for the show. One thing I'd love about working at the aquarium, they let you do your job here, and there is a lot of creative freedom, as so to speak. And I can actually show you how the project begins from our initial meeting with the exhibit developers and departments, is that they come up with a name in Splash Zone, and this is basically my notes in the meeting as we're talking about where we need to go with a look. This is basically how it starts. I always start with a typography solution. One of the things that we're trying to do here, in fact the main element we're trying to accomplish, is that the logo has to be immediate, and it has to be recognizable, and it has to be readable. So I always go to, what is my typography going to look like? Also, typography gives you a lot of different messages and feelings. This was targeted to young children, so we wanted something that was accessible, that they can read, and something that kind of looked kind of bony and fun. It looked like kids. Graphic designers, art directors are always looking for inspiration, or we find ideas anywhere. This was from a newspaper. I liked the star off of the Harris Reno logo. One of our featured animals in the show are starfish. And I thought, okay, I really like the way that sits on there. And that kind of stuck with me. From there, still working with a pen and a piece of paper, I started just kind of trying to keep myself loose, because you start becoming very tight with your thoughts. So it's just like, stay loose, buddy, don't get too tight, stay loose. So this is just part of the idea. We started introducing the typography. This is the name of the type. I got to the point where I decided I think we can get up onto a computer and start looking at the actual typography that some of our choices are and what we can do with it. So this is the very first type off the computer. We print it out, and I start again. I go back to the pen, the creativity. The computer isn't going to do any creative work for you. It's going to have to come from your own mind, from your own thoughts, from your own experiences. Most of the times when you're creating a logo, for me it's like 100 really bad ideas that culminate into one real good one. So I always try to, I need to work through all the bad ideas, no matter how tedious it might seem. Some more rough ideas. You can see where I'm going with the type. Right now I'm in a confused state, basically, and I'm kind of panicking, figuring out, okay, nothing is working. But we keep trying, and we just keep going along here. And I came up with, okay, zone. I wanted to do something with the word zone, and this bar kept coming into mind. It was a real easy trick, and I said, okay, I'm going to do it. Let's just try it, and let's see what it looks like. The type was very clumsy. Through this whole process, I hated the way Splash looked. Here was a kind of a breakthrough. I started introducing some color. I finally got to the point where I decided that the splash zone could be the same type style, but still needed to be broken up. I stacked it, and I condensed the type to make it a little bit more energetic. The old type, if you can see, was a little flat. For me, it wasn't really moving very well. So we took the type and moved it in. Also, we started playing with this zone idea a little bit more. I pulled it out. One of the comments that we got from the marketing director was that the zone looked too cautionary. I said, okay, and I went, oh, great, because I really kind of like that direction. This came later in the game, where I thought, well, why don't we just make them fluid? And it kind of tied in with a water theme that we were looking for that was absent from the whole logo. Here were some other ideas. These were bubbles that, to me, looked like a washing machine bubbles, so we threw that out. And finally, we refined. I put sharp edges on the starfish. For some reason, this more organic look wasn't really working for me with the rest of the type. I wanted to have a little bit of a street smart to it, so we sharpened up the edges and made it more of a star, which is more versatile in some of the packaging and some of the merchandising products that we were doing later on. One of the things about being a designer is you've got to be a pretty good salesman too. You have to realize that you're going in and you're showing people something completely new, something that most of the time they were not expecting it. They wanted something completely different, and you're going in there trying to push something that comes out of your mind and not theirs. It's a very frightening experience, not only for my client but for me. So I do a lot of rehearsing, and I do a lot of studying and trying to educate my client on why I went to a certain direction. It's very important if you're ever considering being an art director or graphic designer. You've got to be a pretty good pitch man at the same time. One of the main animals, and certainly the main draw for Splash Zone, is a penguin exhibit. So we wanted to come up with our kind of mascot penguin This is where we started off with. This was a drawing that was delivered to us from Jim Kylo, who is a very talented designer and illustrator in our exhibits department. From this point, we go, okay, now we're going to need to really make the penguin a black and white graphic. It's a wonderful animal to portray as a graphic element, almost as a logo, because he's just very bold. You can use a black and white, negative and positive space, and you've got it. At least that was the conventional thinking when we first started. Little did I know it would probably take us somewhere around 50 drawings to actually develop the final icon that we're currently using in the show. And we got pretty quickly to where we wanted to go with this guy. But he just kind of looked sad and squatty, and it wasn't really doing much for me at this point. One of the things that penguins do is they don't do much. So to get them to move or to get them to do their arms up, to go with their arms, they'll have certain sort of poses, but they're pretty much just standing there looking at you unless they're swimming. So we really, again, almost had to exaggerate the movements and expressions of penguins. Here's a side view. Well, maybe we just turn one around and maybe he'll do something magically. Well, they don't. They just sit there. Here's one with his arms out. Again, feet too. Oh, penguin feet are the ugliest things you'll ever want to see. So I kept, okay, we got to find a way to deal with these feet. Sooner or later, we're going to find a way to do it. I just kept simplifying it all the way through. Just, again, some refinement. We're thinking, well, the beak is weird. We got to come up with a beak. The eyes were terrible the whole way through. And we had a breakthrough. Jenny decided, well, why don't we make the eyes look more like a button or something that we can use over and over with all our icon animals, kind of a link for all the animals would have the same shape of eye. And I said, that's a great idea. So Jenny came up with a round button eye look that we latched onto, and actually this little portion of this drawing really got us moving into the next phase where we really needed to get. We were just really not having a very good time coming up with these icons. As you can see, we got to the point where we started really liking the shape, but the eye wasn't working for us. It wasn't accessible for kids. We really wanted something that they can look at and identify with. Well, we got the eye in there, but now the beak wasn't working. And it's a game of balance, and when you change one little tiny thing somewhere, it throws the balance off somewhere else. We got real close with this one. In fact, I liked it enough, so okay, we're there. And then what happens is when you think you're there, you wake up at like 3 in the morning and you go, we're not there. There's something that bothers you through the whole process and you don't really know what it is. I came in one morning and I said, it's the body. The body's too squat. It needs to be longer. And these are wonderful little breakthroughs. And this is a final version of our penguin. Somebody named him here at the aquarium. I don't know what the name is, but I think all our penguins have names. This is an elongated body. We have the button eye, a wonderful mouth, feet that are there, but you really don't notice them. And he's worked magic for the aquarium and all of our programs so far.
Next time on Life in the Arts, an entire program devoted to our most favorite student films. Don't miss it next time on Life in the Arts.